So I'm going to keep everybody on mute for now, and then we'll open up at the end, see if anybody has anything to say. Besides, the D-backs might be winning the World Series. Sorry about it. Maybe not the Dodgers, maybe not the Giants, or the Astros, or the Yankees. I'm down for the Yankees to win. I respect the Yankees. The Astros, sorry, Ray. Not happening, dude. Not anymore. Oakland A's, maybe. But cool. Welcome back, guys. Day 3. This is exciting. Most of us are back, which is really cool. Let's make sure we don't share screens. Hang on. Okay, there we go. Let's make sure we don't share screens, even though the Griffey swingman looks pretty sweet. Just so that we're respectful of everybody else in here. Remember, same thing as yesterday. If we make any crazy noise or go off and distract people, we're all here to learn, right? We're all here to learn, get better, find something that you can get better at. The notes from yesterday, I don't know about you, Jake, and some of you other guys, but like the notes that we saw were incredible. I mean, just seeing them on social media, seeing them personal, sending over, like that was cool. And what that does is it helps you get better. But guess what? It's great to write it down once. It's even better to go back and check them out. Because this summer when you're playing and maybe you start struggling and you forget what it means to be a good teammate, or you forget what it means to find joy in your game, or maybe you forget something that you learn throughout this next 4 weeks that you're like, oh, I wish I had that. Guess what? You've got a notepad with some paper and a pencil that you can go back and you can go look at those notes at any time. I know I'm taking notes from some of these coaches in here and some of you guys, just some of the things that you're putting in the chat, some of the things you're sending in to us that are really hitting home. It's really cool to see that you guys are learning. And whoever said yesterday, the disease of me equals the defeat of us, I'm still fired up about that. So good for you. I know it's a Bam Fam quote, but it fires me up just to see that happening. People are learning. So it's awesome. So today we're talking about the goal setting aspect. And this is one of my favorite aspects. I'm going to kick it off with just a little bit of intro to, I guess, my viewpoint on goals and why they're important. And it might be a little different than what you may have heard before. Some of you have maybe never heard of goals. Some of you have heard about goals all your life. Your parents have maybe told you, hey, you need to set goals. Or maybe your coaches are like, hey, set some goals for your game or for your career, or for your life. Like for school, I want to get straight A's. I want to be an engineer. I want to do something special. Well, I don't think goals are real unless we attach an emotion to the goal. Like if we attach emotion to the goal, it becomes real, right? Like you think about a car, your parents' car doesn't drive unless you put gas in the fuel tank. It's just like our goal. Our goal, we don't go towards our goal. We can never take a step in the right direction towards our goals if we never put the gas in the fuel tank, which is the emotion behind the goal, right? So you have a goal right now. The high school athletes in here, you're close to playing college. Like our season just got banged. We're close to playing college. Johnny, Tiernan, Ethan, like a lot of us in here, there's like probably half are high school, the other half are youth. Like we are right there, right? We are so close to getting to one of our goals, which is playing collegiate baseball. But if we don't encompass how it feels and think about how does this make me feel when I reach my goal? So what does that mean? And here's an example. I'm 15 years old right now, and I want to play Division I baseball. I live in Texas, and I want to play at the University of Texas because I love Doggy Garrido, and I love the history of Texas, and that's my dream school. Well, that's great. I have my goal, right? I want to play Division I baseball at the University of Texas. But how does it make me feel when I sign my contract? How does it make me feel when I wear that Texas uniform? How does it make me feel when I walk on campus and look around and I see these sweet accents and I see these awesome people with cowboy hats or whatever we're wearing in Texas? Ray, you can fill me in later. But I go to Texas and I'm pumped up. I'm like, man, this is incredible. Or some of us Bay Area athletes, maybe I want to go to Stanford because the education is incredible and the history is incredible. Or maybe I want to go to Cal or ASU or Florida or New York, like whatever university or school we want to go to, whatever we want to accomplish. We've got to figure out a way to attach emotion to our goals, attach an emotion to our goals. That's the most important part of this, in my opinion, because without that emotion, we have no fuel to get there. We're just going to stand still. We're never going to take that step in the right direction. So how do we do that, right? Like how do we attach that emotion to the goal? Well, there's a few things. One, we write them down on paper. We're going to get into that in a minute when I share my screen about writing it down on paper. That makes it real. Right? Your parents have probably told you two goals. I remember I was 13 years old and my mom, she's right in here. She told me I was walking down the same stairs that I was coming down. And my mom's like, Austin, Zach, my brother's 11. He doesn't care. I'm 13. We're playing video games. You know, we're doing our thing. We didn't care about goals. She said, we're going to do a vision board. I said, I don't need a vision board, Mom. I don't need that. Well, guess what? I watched everything that she put down on her vision board come true that next year. And I was mind blown. I'm like, okay, maybe I should try this. I want to be the best high school player in Arizona. I want to be a college athlete. I want to be a professional athlete one day. I want to be a great dad. I want to be a great friend. I want to be a mentor and a leader. I want to help people one day. But guess what? Like, we've got to know what we want to achieve, right? We've got to know what we want to achieve, and we've got to attach that emotion to it. So writing it down on paper is very easy. So if you're taking notes right now, if you're not, take some notes, pull out your phone, put them in your notepad, whatever you can do to write this down. But write down 3 of your goals that you have. So it could be, I want to play college baseball. I want to play high school baseball. I want to be the best in my class as far as school goes. I want to be the fastest runner in my class. I want to get better at hitting. And then to the right of it, write down the emotion you feel. And some emotions we can feel is excited, proud, fired up, enthusiastic, which means just you're enjoying it. You're happy about it, right? Maybe it's happy is how I feel. Maybe it's thankful or grateful. Maybe it's joyful. Like, what emotion do I feel when I achieve that goal? That is massive. It makes it real. It makes it real. Now we can actually move on from this and continue to develop on it. If we just put it down and we never look at it again, it's cool, right? We put it down, but it doesn't become real. If coach wants to go win a championship this year before all this happened, and it was his goal to win the championship, right? Like, that's what he wants to do. If he doesn't tell his athletes, it doesn't become real. If he never shares with his athletes, let's win a championship, we don't buy into that goal. We don't buy in to our common theme, our mission as a team. So individually, right now or after this, write down some of your goals that you have. Think about it. Like, do I want to get better at hitting during this time, pitching, my mental game, my process, my routine, maybe being a good teammate, maybe being better in my family and doing the dishes once in a while, or cleaning up after my plate or my Dr. Pepper can that I leave out on the island, Kennedy, upstairs, my sister. Like, maybe it's one of these things that I want to get better at, right? It's huge. It's huge for us. It makes it real. It makes it real. And Jake, I'm going to kick it off to you because I'm going to share your presentation here soon. But I'm going to kick it off to you to see if you have anything to add or any background that you want to add in before we get into it.
Cool. So I think this is a huge one. This is one that fires up everybody that you're going to hear talking today, because we didn't get to where we are by just hoping for it. It's something that we expected because we set out that plan and those goals and how we were going to get there, and we lived into that. So what we're really trying to get at with this is 2 things. One, we want to live from the future backwards rather than living from the past forwards. And what we mean by that is we have to live with our future in mind. A lot of times the decisions that we make are based on our past, but they don't necessarily help us get to the future that we're trying to create. So rather than living that way, we want to visualize and see our future, write down the goals that we're trying to get to and the person and the player that we're trying to become, and then make sure that our action and our intent of action matches where we're trying to go. So when we do that and we set the future out exactly how we want to see it, it becomes a lot easier to outline your roadmap of how you're going to get there. Okay, one easy analogy that I like to give: when Austin started Major League University and Adam and I started baseball and Fastpitch Academics Midwest, we didn't go in and say, hey, this is going to be cool. In a year, we'll figure out what we're going to do then. We had a blueprint, right? We had a business plan, an idea of where we were going. So my question to you guys is, why don't you have that for your playing career? Why don't you have that for your life? The people who are successful are the ones who plan out where they're going to go, because then they have an actual attack angle of how they're going to get there. So we want to live that way. And the catchphrase that you'll hear us say a lot through this is measure what you treasure, right? If we treasure our baseball or softball career and we treasure where we're going, then we need to make sure that the goals that we write down and how we get there is something that we can actually track. So it's not coming back to you just saying, oh, I feel like I did good at that today. But what does that look like? What's your increase in exit velo, or your increase in your squat max, or how much time did you spend visualizing that day? We want to make sure that whatever we put in there, we can measure. So those are the big things. I do want to, before I forget, bring up what I told you guys to do yesterday, which was to think about if you had $86,400 in your bank account today, and at the end of the day, it went away, it was gone, you couldn't save it, you couldn't invest it, what you would do with that money. So I'm curious, I know hopefully some of you guys did that. I want you to send us those responses today to that Dugout Coalition, because I want to look and see what you guys did. But The reason I had you do that is this. Most of you probably came up with some extravagant things, some really cool things that you would do with that money. Well, every day when you wake up, you have 86,400 seconds in that day to live. And at the end of the day, you don't get to take them with you. You can't save them. You can't invest them. They're gone. So when you look at it like that from a money standpoint, most of you are probably trying to spend every single dollar of that 86,400 because you knew it was going to be gone. So when you look at it that way, it makes you think, like, why do we waste our time? Why do you wake up and we take 45 minutes of eating cereal and sitting on the couch before we do anything that's actually good for us or effective that helps us get to where we want to go? So when you look at it like that, people value money, but sometimes we forget to value time, right? And you have to value your time like it is your money. How are you going to use it? How are you going to use every single second to improve? Okay. And the follow-up question to that is, if somebody were to, if you had $86,400 and somebody stole 10, you're not going to chase them down for that 10 because it's a waste of your time. You have $86,390 at that point. So when I say that, what I mean is when somebody says something negative about you, or when you have 5 minutes of your day that go really poorly, why do we let that 5 minutes affect the rest of our day and allow it to go downhill in a negative way? Let it go. Don't chase that down. Don't waste the future time that you have because of something that was lost in the previous 10 minutes. Just move past it, right? So when we start to value it that way, then we start to be successful because every single moment that you're living becomes a moment that you want to maximize. All right, so that's where we were going with that. But I'm super excited for today. This could probably be an entire week. So we're going to try to jam pack this thing into as much content as we can get in the hour. Before I pass it on, I do want to shout out Jess. I see her on this first screen here. I don't know Jess at all, but Jess followed BAMFam on Instagram yesterday, and I was just scrolling through, and Jess is a female baseball player, absolutely killing it at a high level in here, took incredible notes yesterday, right, doing things that a lot of people probably told her that she can't do. So we want everybody to have that mentality. Like, don't let somebody else tell you you can't do something, right? Just say thank you and go out there and prove them wrong. That's why we're all here, to get better and to improve. And it's awesome to see all of that come together into this with this many people right now. So excited to be here, excited to get rolling with this.
Yeah, Jess is incredible. She's absolutely amazing. And guess what she does? She shows up to everything. It doesn't matter if it's free or paid. It doesn't matter if it's who's involved. Like, she's there, right? She's taking notes. These notes are incredible. They're organized. Like, they're real. And she's getting better because of it. Like, to see the development has been amazing. So Jess, shout out to you as always. We're always proud of you. It fires me up. Met her at the Power Showcase last year with Cade Edwards. He's in here as well. And for them to hit on them, and like, they have a vision. They know what they want to do. One, Jess is doing something that's obviously not very typical. It's not normal, right? She's going against the grain. She's got a dream and she's going to chase it with everything she has. So that's incredible. That's a goal with a vision, with emotion behind it, right? That's what we talk about when we say goals. Like, she's got vision and she's got emotion behind it. And then Cade, for instance, he's 13 years old, and the dude's in the Power Showcase, hit one 394 in Chase Field, which is the Diamondback Stadium, 394 feet, by the way. And when I asked him we had a preseason middle game mastery program. It was 6 weeks online, just like this. And I go, all right, what do you guys want to achieve? What are your goals? And he goes, I want to get drafted. I'm like, that's good, right? Like, he's like, I want to play professional baseball. I said, cool. Like, where do you want to go to college? He said, I don't want to go to college. I want to play professional baseball, and I'm going to play it. It wasn't I want to, I'm going to. I'm like, dude, all right, like, Alabama, baby, sweet home. Like, line me up. I'm fired up. It makes me proud to just see the growth in you guys. Ronnie, what do you got to add to any of that just before we get into the presentation?
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about attainable goals, short-term goals, and some long-term goals for sure. I know the professional baseball stuff is great. I think that's a great long-term goal, especially for a lot of you guys. Most of you guys that are in here have that dream, have that vision, have that goal. Great, awesome, that's good. I had the same dream, same vision. I think for you guys, we got to also have the small wins too. Don't just pick the big goal. Don't just go right to the big goal, right? There has to be action steps in the middle, smaller wins that you guys need to have. I know for me, I have a vision on where Hot Corner and where we want Hot Corner to go, but I'm not going to get to there is no end goal for me. It's a journey, and we want to make sure that within that journey, I have some small wins, right? Have one facility, meet some other people, talk to a lot of kids, have my first pro guy, have my second pro guy. Like, there are things that we do. We want small wins, small attainable goals. If you're a guy especially for these high school guys in Buffalo, that the pitchers specifically, it's like, you know, maybe you're throwing 75 right now. That's okay. I know one day you want to throw 90, but what are you going to do to get to 80 first? And once you get to 80, what are you going to do to get to 84? You know, and those are the things, I think, the details within that are huge, because I think if we just have that main goal and we don't have any action steps in the middle that are going to help us get there, I think we lose sight of that big goal, right? I think the biggest thing for me is create the biggest goal you want, shoot for the stars. You want to be a Hall of Famer, write that down, right? But what are you going to do today and tomorrow and the next day to become a Hall of Famer and have a great major league career and get to the minor leagues and play in college? What are the things that you guys are going to do today and tomorrow to get there? Right. I think that's probably my biggest point, is let's create attainable goals to reach our big one.
I love that. You need to celebrate the little victories along the way. Just like you said, Ronnie, you mentioned something even bigger. That was, I don't have an end goal, I have a journey.
Yeah.
Drop the mic on him. Wisdom nugget of the day, dude. Fire me up. Like, that is huge. Like, if our end goal is just playing in the big leagues or playing college baseball and we get there, what happens next, right? Like, what happens next once we get to that level? Well, if we have that dream and we have a vision of where we want to be in our life, it's huge, it's great, but we've got to enjoy the journey too. We set high expectations on ourselves as athletes. Each one of us do. No matter if you're 8 years old in here, or 18 years old, or 27 like me, or 45 or 65, like, we all set expectations for ourselves. And a lot of the times, if we don't live up to those expectations, we never feel fulfilled inside. We never have joy. We just keep swimming under the line. And if we never reach that pinnacle, if I never reach that 400 batting average or that 25 bombs or that college scholarship or the top 10 rounds in the draft, I never feel good about myself. Well, instead of getting caught up in those expectations for us, let's get caught up in the journey that it gets to get there. You hear trust the process. Well, I'm tired of hearing the process, right? Like, that's cool, but it's eyewash. It's overused because a lot of the people that say trust the process don't actually trust their own process, right? Like, I think progress is made in the journey. And every time you have progress, you have success. If you're getting better, and that means sometimes going down and getting worse sometimes, like to experience failure. But every time you experience progress, you're one step closer to your goal. So remember that as we get into this. Adam, do you have anything last minute things to add as well, or anyone else?
Yeah, I'll try to make this short, but like I was thinking about today, what I wanted to talk about as far as goal setting, like I think we're going to map out and try to give you guys an idea of the best way to go after your goals and put that on paper and schedule that as kind of out. But I want you guys at a young age to start understanding why it's important overall to have goals and why it's super important to go after them. And the biggest thing I can think about with that is the word sacrifice. And regardless of whether or not you go after your goals, you're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices to go after them. But also, if you don't go after your goals and you stay put, you're making a bigger sacrifice there. So I want you to think about, when you write down your goals and you go after them, what are the kind of sacrifices you're going to have to make? You're going to have to sacrifice time in the present, pleasure in the present, where you're just relaxing and kind of doing whatever you want to do, hanging out with your friends, doing all this other stuff, right? In order to be able to achieve that goal, right? You have to make those sacrifices. But I hope that you do those, because the bigger sacrifice that you make if you don't do that is you sacrifice your potential down the road if you don't take care of those sacrifices in the moment. Because we talk about potential a lot, and potential, we always say somebody has a ton of potential. Somebody's bursting with potential, but it's not something we can actually measure. It's not something I think we can measure until it's actually reached. Or the biggest part is you either find your potential if you reach it, or you find your potential if you don't reach it. And at a young age, I think it's really hard to understand that if you don't put your goals in line and you don't make those sacrifices in the present, that later on down the road, if you're just sitting back and wishing that you had made those sacrifices, and realizing that you missed out on your potential, that sacrifice of what you could have been is a way bigger sacrifice than the ones in the moment. So we're going to give you guys some direction on how to go about achieving those goals. But I want you to understand the most important part of that, and understanding that if you don't go after them and you just sit back idly by, the regret that you'll have later on in life that you didn't do those things is going to hit way harder than the feeling of the sacrifices you're going to make in the immediate to reach those goals. So I've had a lot more thought on that, but I'll try to make it short so we can move on.
You're good, man. You're good. We got a lot of things to get into. I love your mindset on that. I love the sacrifice. You got to give something up to get to where you want to be. we've definitely, from the PowerPoint and the presentation, is way too much to even get into today. So I'm going to simplify big time. And the first slide is all we're going to go into, because I think that maybe the second one, because gratitude's massive, but the first one is huge. It's absolutely huge. And I'm going to try and flip the screen here in a minute. Let me see. Share screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Yep.
So this is the first slide that we've got up here, right? Outlining what is in your treasure chest. And Jake, I'll let you take the lead on this in a minute, but I just want to hit on how cool this is. Like, what's in your treasure chest? Like, think about it. Like, it's easy to say, what are your goals with this? But what's in your treasure chest? Like, what are the things that you treasure in your life? What are the things that you invest most of your time in? What are the things that you give value to? What are the things that give you purpose? What are the things that light you on fire and are that gas in your fuel tank to make you excited, to make you happy, to make you feel fulfilled? Like, what are some of the things that you love doing? But Jake, I want you to get into this aspect of it, because you put this together and this is incredible. And I really like the fact of finding what you treasure in your life. I think it relates to all of us.
Yeah, for sure. I think, when you look at measure what you treasure and you think about it as a treasure chest, right? There's three big areas of things that we have to look at. The first one is time, right? How you treasure your time is going to be where you spend it. Okay. So the phrase of "I don't have time" needs to totally leave your vocabulary, because the four people that you see on the screen share right now, right? If it's the same as what I'm looking at, I guarantee that we don't have a lot of time, right? So time is something that a lot of times you're not going to have, and it's really, really easy to use the excuse that you don't have time to complete it. So rather than saying that, I want you to change what that looks like and what you say from "I don't have time" to "it's not a priority," because that's what you're essentially saying. If you're choosing not to get something done, you're stating that it's not a priority in your life. And the reality is that's okay, right? There are things in my life that are not a priority. If I get to them, great. And if I don't, that's fine too, right? So it's really okay. But you have to look at that, because the things that you prioritize as time will be things that you really, really look at as priorities in your life. So one of the things that we're really big on and I think matter a lot is actually physically writing something down, right? It's one thing to think about it. It's another thing to write it down, because when you do that, your brain connects to your body a little bit and you feel like you're letting yourself down if you don't actually follow those. So the question for time is, what are you doing daily? Like, how are you investing your time? And when we look at a bank account real quick, right, there's three types of transactions you can have. There's a deposit, which is money going in, right, or somebody giving value to you in your life. There's a withdrawal, you giving value to somebody else but not benefiting yourself. And then there's an investment. And an investment is a way that you're spending your time to sacrifice now to gain something bigger later. Okay, so we want to surround ourselves with people who invest in us, and we want to surround ourselves with people that have a like-minded approach so that we can invest in them, because when we do that, then we all grow at a more substantial rate. Okay, so when you look at that first one, time treasures, okay, the questions to ask are, how are you investing your time daily? And how do you consider these things of value? Okay, for some of you guys, that might be getting in the Word every day, right? If you have a faith background, you're trying to read every day, you're trying to make that a part of who you are. That's great. Hitting, weightlifting, right? Those things. Eating healthy. Okay, we're going to get into that stuff in week 4, but writing down or tracking your macronutrients for your diet if you're trying to gain weight or lose weight or whatever that is. Okay, if it matters to you, then you're going to invest the time in doing that. Okay, the second one is past. Okay, there's things from our past that we absolutely treasure. They're big events or things that you hold close to your heart that can impact your present mindset. Things like great memories of hitting a ball 394 at Chase Field at 13 years old, right? That's a heck of a memory that you can stick with you to remember how you felt in that moment of what that looked like, how you celebrated it. Like, that's huge, dude. Like, that's an incredible accomplishment. That's something I've never done. That's great. I don't know if I've ever hit a ball 394. That's rough. Maybe you give me a loaded bat. We'll see what I can do. But when you look at those things, it's important to hold those memories from your past really, really close, because it gives you a glimpse of what you're capable of. And sometimes when we're feeling down or we don't feel ourselves, it's easy to lose that glimpse of what we're capable of and start to believe the lies that other people tell us about ourselves. Okay, so hold those things close, write those things down. And then the big one is your future, right? What goals do you have, and how are you measuring that progress? And you've heard the term, or a lot of you have, with SMART goals, right? We have specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and putting a time frame on it. Okay, so it's a really easy thing. If you look it up, it goes into it. Super easy, but a lot of those keywords or catchphrases were brought up by the other speakers saying, hey, make sure there's time to it. Make sure you're setting something that you believe is attainable to you. Okay, don't let somebody else tell you what you can achieve or attain. Okay, that's for you to decide, and other people will laugh at you and they'll tell you that you're crazy, and then you just go and prove them wrong. It's great. Okay, one of the big things you'll find when it comes to goals is most people want to be at the same level as you, but as soon as you project at a higher level, it's easier for them to try to bring you back down than it is for them to raise the level of their existence. Okay, so a lot of times when you say, hey, here's what I'm going to accomplish, this is how I'm working towards it, they're going to tell you why you can't, because it's easier for them to do that than to match the work that you're putting in. So don't let that get to you. Okay, that's part of growth, that's part of development. Okay, so when you look at those, the treasure chest really has those three things: time, your past, and your future. And the key is to write those things down, look back over them, put them on your mirror, right? Put them in a place that you're going to see every single day. The background of your phone screen. Mine's the Mamba mentality right now. Put things in places that you look at every day that are going to be power phrases or things that you can look to and see and know that that's going to reinforce the behaviors that you want to see in your life.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge, man. I love the three different things that you're treasuring. I love how simple it is to be broken up into like these little categories that we can follow very easily. But you make the point of, you got to see them too. You got to see them, and they've got to be specific to you.
Yep.
Like, they can't be specific to somebody else. I can't be trying to live Adam's dream or Jake's dream or Ronnie's dream. I've got to live my dream and my goals and my purposes and what I want to achieve. Your coaches are going to want to tell you something. Your parents are going to tell you something. They're going to hope that you're a doctor one day, or you're a professional athlete one day, or you're this and that. But if you don't want it, it's not for you. Like, if you don't want to be a professional athlete one day, that's okay. It's all good. Nobody's going to judge you. And if they do, it's because they know that they can't be there one day either. And they're jealous of whatever it is that you're doing. That's why some people will claw at you, or the bully in school will try and bully people around, because inside they don't feel good either. Like, they don't feel worthy enough about themselves and their goals, because they don't have any, to where now they've got to try and tear other people down so that they can try and claw them way up. But it doesn't work that way. You'll never be fulfilled. You'll never be happy. You'll never feel successful that way. I got asked earlier this morning, and it was like, what's your definition of success? And it was like a deep question. I'm like, man, definition of success? You caught me off guard, dude. I just got my coffee. Like, come on, I got to get moving here. But your definition of success, and I told him, I said, look, it's doing something that you could see yourself doing no matter how much money you're making. Like, if I had no money at all, but I got to speak everywhere in the world and got to travel the world and speak to teams and to athletes and to businesses and people, I would be living the best life in the world. But I don't want to go play pro ball right now. I don't want to be in the big leagues. You're probably like, what? You don't want to be in the big leagues? Your name's Major League University. No, I don't want to be in the big leagues. That's not where I want to be. I don't want to be a coach in the big leagues. I want to go speak and inspire people. That's why I do it, because it gives me purpose, right? It gives me purpose about my life. Just like for you guys, find something that gives you purpose, gives you meaning in your life. Ronnie, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of you. I think people, and you know what's funny is a lot of people probably think that you're absolutely crazy for not wanting the same dreams and goals as they are. And that proves our point from the very beginning is, you don't have to have the same dreams as me, and I don't have to have the same dreams as you, but I need to do whatever I can to reach my dreams and goals, right? I don't need to have the same dreams as Jake or Adam or anybody else that's in here, but you have to believe in what your dreams are, right? And at the end of the day, if you believe in what your dreams are, then no one can stop you, right? And I think that's the biggest thing, because with Austin, you know, everybody in here, all the 10 to 18-year-old kids are like, man, I don't know why Austin wouldn't want to make it to the big leagues. He was a professional athlete. You know, I want to be a professional athlete. Well, great. We'll go get that, right? But Austin wants to inspire people. So he's going to go and try and reach that goal and that dream. And I think if you guys really understand that, like, that's probably the biggest thing I took away from you, Austin, was you have to reach your personal goals, and you can't allow anybody to penetrate that. Right. And that's the biggest thing, is we can't allow other people to penetrate it. Let somebody else have the dream and goal to go in Division I baseball. But if you want to be a pro, go get that. Let them go be a Division I athlete, but you go become a pro. and everybody is going to go on at their own pace. But I think that once you realize that your goals and your dreams are yours, it's a lot easier to chase them, right?
Massive, man, massive. Adam, do you have anything to add on to that too?
Yeah, and I think to sum up like what all three of you guys were talking about, like Austin, when you were talking about the things that you wanted to do and somebody said, hey, what's success to you? You talked about what you were doing. You didn't say like, I want to be successful. I want to be like somebody else, or I want to do what somebody else is doing. And I think that the best way to sum that up is for when you guys are putting your goals forward about what you want to do, you can look to other people for inspiration and try to work as hard maybe as what they are, to be able to get to where you want to be. But the true way that you know whether or not you're actually getting towards your goals and moving forward is you have to compare yourself today to who you were yesterday. And that goes back to what we're talking about of controlling the controllables. I can't control what Austin and Ronnie and Jake are doing on their own to get better and then try to match that. I can only control whether or not what I do today is equal, less, or better than what I did the day before. And that's how I get to my goals. You don't want to go try to be like somebody else. Map out your own journey, and we'll continue to help you, teach you guys how to map that out. But look to other people for inspiration, but don't compare what you've done today to what they did. It only matters if it's better than what you did yesterday. That's the biggest thing.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And you're spot on, man. You're absolutely spot on. And this is good information. I mean, no matter if we're taking notes or not, like I highly recommend that you write some of this stuff down. And I don't care how old you are. I know for me, like I'm taking note of this because it's huge. And that's why I like typing it in, because it gives me just an extra clarification of, oh, that stuck out, the sacrifice, or, oh, it's got to be specific to me, because it's great to hear it, right? Like if you hear it, you got a little motivation. And this is another thing of motivation versus inspiration. Motivation is very temporary. Inspiration lasts forever. So if somebody's going to motivate you, I can come into your facility and motivate you for a day or two to go work hard and to go get in the cage and to maybe do something during this quarantine. But how do I inspire you to change your actions and your habits to change your life? Like that's the big thing. And we're young. We get it. We're young. We've got distractions. We got the phone. We've got a lot of cool games we can play. We got different comparisons going on. There's so many different things that go on. But just reading off some of the things that people have sent me here in the private chat, like, is incredible. It's absolutely incredible to see some of what you guys are thinking about right now. Like that's what it's all about, sparking a different thought. How do we think differently about our goals, or think differently about our careers, and just trigger something that maybe just hits a switch in your mind that helps you get one little edge on the competition, or maybe one step closer to your dream or your goal, or one step better in your game. Something that you can apply right away, that you can use to help you be successful. I'm going back into the presentation, and I'm just looking at some of the slides. And one thing that I like is eliminate stinking thinking.
Stinking thinking, man.
Stinking thinking. And I got to get a Texas accent with that and go stinking thinking. Like just do something dope with it, but stinking thinking, like eliminate it. The what if versus what if not. And that's just the way I like it. Good. I like that. And Jake, I'm going to have you explain that. But there's one thing that I want to hit on is one of my buddies, he always talks about, hey, I may not be a marathon runner yet. I may not be a motivational speaker yet. I may not be a big leaguer yet. I may not be the Arizona Player of the Year in high school yet. I might not run the best facility in the nation yet, right? Adding the yet to the end of it. And then another thing is adding good to the end of it. Oh, I went through a little failure. Good. I went through failure. Good. What's it teaching me, right? We talked last night in our mentorship program, and a few of you in here were in that as well. And we talked a little bit about, hey, how do we use failure as like learning experiences? How do we use our past failures to help us get to where we want to be? And what does that even look like? Like, how can I use a terrible experience where I blow my arm out or my elbow and I got Tommy John and I'm out for a year and a half to set me up for success? And a quick story on that, one of my best friends, he plays for the White Sox, and he should have been out of the league. For 2 years, he didn't get to pitch. First, they thought it was a shoulder injury. Then they thought it was some sort of elbow injury. And then after 6 or 8 months of that, of not throwing in rehab, they thought it was, one sec, let me mute if I can. All right, we're good. Please make sure we're muted too, fellas. But another thing was, so he goes through these instances. Then he realized he has Tommy John, and now he's out for another year and a half. 2 years out of the pros. He's in the pros, right? Doesn't throw a baseball for 2 years. Now he's in the big leagues. He just got an extension as a contract, like 5 mil, 15 mil, something crazy. I don't even know. A lot of money, right? A lot of money. But he easily could have bent over and leaned into what the world says and the statistics and all the nonsense that goes around us and said, I'm good. But he had a goal and a dream to make it to the big leagues, to come back better than ever. And he said, screw this. I'm going to take the reins on this. And no matter what happens to me in my circumstances, I'm going to use this failing moment to teach me something about resiliency and about inspiration and about hard work, about dedication, taking care of my body, and to make sure that this never happens again. When I come back, I'm going to be better than ever. And now the dude's in incredible shape. He's shoving. He's 97, 98, left-handed, and he's disgusting. But he wasn't like that before, right? But he had to work hard to get back there. So, Jake, kind of think about the stinking thinking, the what ifs first, what if not, the poor me attitudes. I like the poor me attitude too, type of deal. Explain a little more of what you mean by that.
Yeah, so Austin's talked a lot about, emotion and attaching emotion to your goals. And I think that's huge. I define as emotion as energy in motion, right? So if you have poor energy, then your emotion is going to come across as being negative. If you have positive energy, then your emotion is going to come across as being positive. So emotion is your way of expressing how you're feeling to other people. Okay, so when we look at that, when you have negative energy, negative emotion, the way that you project to other people is not very good, and it essentially takes you to a place where you're not available to learn, to grow, to help others, or anything like that. One of the biggest lessons you can learn is that the most important ability that you have in your life is availability. It's really simple, right? But if you're not available to learn, you're not willing to do those things, then you're not going to improve at all. So we have to take care of our emotion in order to take care of our availability. They go hand in hand. So when we look at that, there's a lot of things that you can do to just check your emotion right away. Okay, the first one is, and that's just the way I like it, right? So any statement that you make or that a teammate makes, if you follow that up with, and that's just the way I like it, you're going to find out really quick if that was a positive or negative statement. Man, I got benched today. I was 0 for 4. I threw my helmet. It's my coach's fault. He's a terrible coach. I don't know why I play for him. That's just the way I like it, right? So you're looking at that like, well, that's a negative thought, clearly, right? So that will just check you right away. And our team motto this year was good, really simple. And the tweet that I sent out when our season got canceled was, hey, fellas, season's canceled. Good. What are we going to do to improve from now until next year? It's going to set us apart from the competition, because the reality is most of the people your age as players are currently waking up, hanging out, doing whatever, being sad that you're not playing, but they're not putting in work to continue to get better. So what this has really been a blessing for you guys is this gives you a chance to improve, to where if you were even with somebody else before, while they sit at home and don't do anything, you now have an opportunity to surpass those people, because they're filling their minds with excuses as to why they can't be successful. Okay, it's important to understand that what you seek, you find, right? So if you're looking for excuses or reasons why you're not going to be successful, you're going to find them. If you're looking for reasons as to things that you can do to be successful, you'll find those too. And you guys found a great resource being in here every day. So you're clearly to log in and do this. So you have to see the right things and put your mindset in that place. But I think it's just important to think about this whole concept, and we call it the flower theory at the BAM fam. It's really simple. Okay, so if you look at a flower, you have the root, you have the stem, you have the flower, and then from that grows different leaves, right, and plants. So if I were to walk past and just pluck off the top of the flower, the actual flower part, over time that's going to grow back. Okay, if I cut the stem, over time it's going to grow back. So the only way to eliminate that flower completely is to pull it out by the root. Okay, and what I mean by that is your thought process, the way that you think, that's the root, right? So that grows into the stem, which is the words that you say. It's the words you say to yourself, your self-talk. It's the words you say to other people. And then finally, that flower is the actual actions. It's what people see. It's what they notice. But that only is available because of the stem and that it's coming from. So you got to look at your thought process, right? You want to make a change in your life. You can't just change the action. It's going to come back. You're going to get lazy again unless you've changed your thought. So where you're going. So when we talk about tracking every single day, eliminating stinking thinking, being positive, writing those things down, what we're really getting at is you changing your thought process behind your actions in your day-to-day life So that way the new actions that stem from those can actually be replicated on a day-to-day basis, and you can grow this garden of positive thought that allows you to be the best version of yourself. So that's kind of where we're going with it. I know without visuals, it can be a little bit hard. So if you guys have questions on any of that, please reach out. But this is a huge piece to daily success. We write a lot of stuff down. It's one thing to say it in your mind. It's another thing to write it, because you're able to look back at it and replicate that and have that thought turn into those words and those actions that you tell yourself throughout the day.
Yeah, you mentioned the garden. I love the analogy of the garden. And what are you putting in your garden? Like, how are you watering your garden? You plant the seed. How is it growing? Are you feeding it? There's a story of like, I don't know if it's on the news or something. I don't watch the news, but there was something a while ago, like 10 years ago in Nebraska, where somebody was just talking positively into a tree. Like they planted a seed and then into some tree, and like somebody was like just yelling at it and telling it how bad it is. And this is a tree, right? Like this thing doesn't have ears, or it's not a person, it's not beating with a heart. And the one that they talked like proudly to and happy to and showed love and cared for, that tree grew up to be big and tall and was flourishing. But the one that they like yelled at and told them they sucked and this tree's stupid and it's ugly and it's never going to be pretty, it died. That's a tree. That shows how our energy can literally like impact people around us. Like your energy can impact me, my energy can impact you. It's unbelievable. And just to get off of what you're saying before we move to Ronnie, like I want to read through some of the comments that people were messaging, was just to like not only shout people out, but like show that there's a lot of growth happening, like a lot of really good things. And I think that we can learn from it. It's not us saying it. These are your teammates. These are the people you're playing against. Can you guys hear me? Good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sometimes you have to do something that no one else is doing and something that no one has done ever before. Be better today than you were yesterday. Be better tomorrow than you are today. You are going to fail. The only thing that matters is how you get back. I love Les Brown. There's a motivational video. One of the kids in here reached out about how do I overcome failure, or how do I overcome like negative thoughts when I feel down and I need some inspiration. Go watch a motivational video on YouTube, and highly recommend Les Brown. The dude fires up. It's like, I may fall down, but as long as I fall on my back, I can get back up. Like he gets fired up about, I may have botched that big time. But you are going to fail. The only thing that matters is how you get back up. Fear nothing, attack everything. People can try to hold you down, but only you can get to the top. I'm going to challenge you. How can you bring others up to the top with you, right?
Yes.
So that's just, I just want to read off some of those because that just fired me up. I was like, this is pretty cool. These are anywhere from 13 years old, 18 years old, 12 years old that are saying things like this. That means you're a leader in whatever clubhouse, whatever home you're in, whatever family you're in, team-wise, at home family, in your life. Inspire people, encourage them, continue to help them. Ronnie, what do you got?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this a little bit while you guys were talking. It just seems like everything that we're talking about just ties into each other, right? Like, and I'm looking at goals and I'm looking at how goals apply, and I'm like, man, that goes into what your role is on your team. Like, if you don't like what your role is on your team, well, then create goals that get you out of that role and into a better role, right? If you have a bad attitude about, something, we'll write a goal to change your attitude. And I think that's how this whole week, I think, is we're really excited about this whole week, is everything ties into each other, right? I remember for me, when I played, my first year in college, I sat every single day. I didn't play. Played behind a guy who was drafted by the Oakland Athletics, who made it to AAA with the Diamondbacks. And he was clearly going to start over me. And I had to set goals to get myself on the field the following year. And if I didn't have those failures, if I didn't have somebody pushing me, then I would have never got there, right? But my role was to be a good bench guy for that season. But my goals were to get myself on the field. And so every single day, what I did was I embraced what my role was at the time and then worked towards what my goals were. And I think that can apply and bring everything back together, because then once you have a goal, then your attitude takes care of itself. If you're not acting the way that you need to reach your goals, well, then that's going to tell you. If your role isn't something that you want, change it, and change it by the way that your goals are and what your goals are and how you're going to reach those goals, right? And I think that's, for me at least, I want to tie all that in together, because I really like how all 3 days kind of play off of each other, right?
That's an amazing point you make, Ronnie, and it really is, right? They all feed into each other. And this is the energy, right? We're the garden. Imagine us as the garden. There's hundreds of thousands of athletes out there between baseball, softball, track, basketball. I don't even know half these sports. Like, there's crazy European sports. Tony in here is learning like this Australian football, like just crazy things, right? Like there's amazing sports out there. There's so many athletes in this world. We're the garden. We're planting the seeds. Now it's up to you guys and girls in here to allow those seeds to grow, to plant these same seeds with the teammates that you have, encourage them so we can keep bringing people up, because it's too tough out there, especially as kids these days. It's not easy. If you're 18 and under in here, it's really, really hard to eliminate the distractions. That's why we do this stuff, to help you get through some of those, because for us it was tough and we had even less distractions. Adam, what do you got for me?
Like all three of you guys, just in your last time you talked about the failure of the goals. And I think that's definitely one of the big reasons that people don't like to set goals, is because they make their criteria for failure clear. But I think that we talked about the last couple of days that we're going to see those failures no matter what, and that you can't be fearful of those. And so the person that asked about, what do I do when I am fearful of failure, and it doesn't make me want to do that. My best advice is face those things head on and fail or get past those, and you're going to realize both of those. Ronnie talks about, earlier about doing the little goals in order to get to the big goals. I think it's really important for people to, when they're talking about their goals, to make their goals clear. Don't cloud them with like, I want to be healthy. Okay, well, what does being healthy mean? That means I want to lose 20 pounds or I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle. Make those goals and that criteria clear, regardless of the fear of failure of not actually achieving those. Then once you know what that goal is, break it down step by step into achievable things that you can slowly but surely check those off that list in order to get that. So don't allow the fear of not achieving that goal to cloud what that goal actually is. Don't make it so hard to see. Make it as sharp and clear as possible. And I think that's the first step. You're going to fail a bunch of times when you get trying to achieve these goals. I mean, you guys haven't built Hot Corner, Major League University, or us with Bam Fam just by batting 1,000. There's been things we've tried and we've missed. And we've had to look at those and go, how can we get better from those to still achieve the goal? Just because a step fails in the middle of going towards the goal doesn't mean the goal is over. Make the goal clear and sharp and go through those failures and those successes with the same mentality the entire time.
It's amazing, Adam. It's absolutely amazing. And you make a good point of, like, even for our companies, we're still growing, right? Like, yeah. I'm in the infant stage. I'm in little baby, coddle me and try and nurture me and give me the bottle and help me grow, right? That's why we're doing what we're doing with the Dugout Coalition, helping each other, and with these athletes in here, helping them, because hopefully one of these athletes can go take what they've learned, and it shows in the way they carry themselves, and it shows in the way that you do what you do on the field, and people are going to take notice. You want to get seen by scouts? Everybody wants to hear about recruiting talks. We're going to do a massive free recruiting talk. It's going to be freaking awesome. And it's going to be real. It's not going to be tell you what you want to hear. It's going to be real, like the real steps to how to get seen. And this is one of them. You carry yourself like a champion. Like, you don't drag your blanket.
Oh yeah.
You don't swaddle the newspaper around. Like, you literally got to carry yourself like a champion at all times. And Tony would tell you in here, like, if I want a guy to come play for me on the Dodgers, like, you better carry yourself like a champion. You better carry yourself like a freaking champion every day, because you're going to get weeded out right away, because there's thousands of athletes out there trying to take your spot every single day. You talk about the failure, Adam, like, you've got to accept the defeat. Jess posted a quote in there about accepting defeat, right? Unbelievable. And here's something I'm going to leave you with, and then got a couple minutes to wrap up and you guys can shut it off. But I just received a text, and I was supposed to speak with the team from Florida at 4 today. So in 2 hours. For my time, supposed to do one of these with them, like just their team, their organization, etc. And he says, can we reschedule? We just lost one of our players. Like, one of his players passed away. Like, to think about the times we go through, right? And this might be deep, this might be a lot, but guess what? To think about the times that we go through, what is your treasure? Like, what do you really treasure? Do you treasure your teammates? Do you treasure your coaches? Do you treasure the ones that you're around, your family? You never know when the last day could be. You never know when you walk in the middle of the street and somebody doesn't see you and whacks you with a car. You never know that there might be a pack of wolves in Connecticut that are just mobbing out, because I saw some wolves there one time and it freaked me out. Like, we don't know what can happen at any time. We don't know what's going to happen. How do we cherish every moment? How do we live in the moment? How do we embrace the moment? How do we find joy in our process every day? Because it's really easy to get caught up in the results of the 0 for 4s, or the coach didn't play me, or the poor me attitude, or my instructor hates me, or I can't stand going to hot corner because he pushes me and makes me better, but I don't like it because he's a little hard on me sometimes. Like, we've got to accept the defeats, and we've got to be able to love each other every single day. That's all I got. I just wanted to drop that in there because I thought it was powerful and it really hit home. And I get these little notifications on my computer, and I was like, oh, whack me in the face.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say is just to go back a little bit to what I said at the beginning. When you guys are deciding what goals you want to write down, or even if you want to, just remember that you get to pick your sacrifice. You don't get to not make one. You get to sacrifice your now and the things that you want to do in the immediate that are immediately pleasurable and fun for later on to reach your potential. Or if you don't do that, you sacrifice what your potential could be, and all you're thinking about is what I could have done to get there. So you're going to make a sacrifice. You don't get to not make one. You just get to pick which one it is. So as you're writing down your goals and you're thinking about what you want to be and what you want to do, and those goals might change, and that's okay. Anytime you write down a goal or you think about the future, think about it in that sense, and that way you don't waste your time.
And I'll leave you guys with this. It's kind of a change of direction a little bit, but we talk to you guys a lot, and you're taking a great step by being in here. And we talk to you about goals and all the things you want to accomplish, and that's awesome. I want to remind you to make sure that they're your goals, right? Because your parents have goals for you, and your friends have goals for you, and it's really easy to get so caught up in what everybody else wants to see you do that over time, slowly but surely, you lose sight of like your own passions and what you're really trying to get out of something. So make sure these things are yours. Okay. One story on that, there was a guy who was first in his class going into his senior year, and he decided his goal was to be the valedictorian. So he didn't hang out with his friends. He didn't do anything that next year. He just went home and studied and got A's on everything. And he won valedictorian. Okay, so he got up there to give his speech, and he threw it out. And he said, I thought that this would feel so good to accomplish this. Like I was some sort of all-star, and I accomplished my goal, and it was incredible. And he said, it did feel like that. It was euphoric for like 15 seconds. But then in the 16th second, everything came back to me of all the things I missed and all the sacrifices I made and all the friends and relationships I didn't have anymore, and all of that, the negative stuff. He said, and I realized in that 16th second that it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth me sacrificing all that just to accomplish this. Okay. So I want to challenge you guys to set goals that you won't regret in that 16th second, right? Set a goal that you want to achieve, that you're willing to sacrifice. And when you get there, you can be so proud of the fact that you achieved that, but you're not going to regret the sacrifices that you made either. Okay. So we talk about goals, but a lot of times we don't tell you that piece of like, it's great to have goals, but if your goal is just there to say you have one, then it's not really worth it. So make sure that they're personal to you, that it's worth it for you. And for some of you, that's baseball. And some of you, that might not be. And that might look different in 2 years. And it's okay to change that and have your life go whatever direction you want it to. Just make sure that in that 16th second after you achieve something, you're not feeling any regrets about the things you had to sacrifice to get there.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a couple seconds left. I just want to, I put my number in the chat. Okay. And you don't have to text it to me. You can tag us in Dugout Coalition on social media or message us, but send us your motivational quote or your inspirational quote that you have, and we're going to post it up there, and we're going to tag you in it if you have a handle. If you don't have a handle, we'll shout you out either way, or your program. So I think that'd be cool to have 180 different motivational quotes running through from you guys, not us. That would be freaking sweet. So that's what I want to leave you with. Great job today. Same thing tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Bring your friends, bring your coaches, bring your parents, bring your dog. I don't care. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys. Peace.
Hey guys.
See y'all tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye. See you. Bye.
Bye.